Hello, good afternoon. This is once again your instructor in Foundations of Social Studies. So this video is intended to provide you a recapitulation of the two lessons that I uploaded in our Google Classroom. It is my desire that you will be able to understand the concepts that you have read in these lessons if ever it would be difficult for you to understand those while reading. So through my explanation this afternoon, then somehow you can get the point of those concepts. So let us start with foundation. This subject is foundation in social studies. So this subject or course is intentionally scheduled in your first year, in the first semester of your first year in college, so that from the very start, you will already have a proper understanding on the direction of your studies. Where are you going? Okay, so that is why it is important that you will understand and know what is the foundation of social studies. So in your reading, in lesson number 1, I gave an explanation about foundation. So in your responses, you have cited that foundation refers to the basic, the fundamental. For a house, it is like a column. That a house cannot stand without the column. And for the column to stand, it has to have a foundation. So for buildings, for example, the taller the building, the stronger and the deeper is the foundation, because it is the foundation that will make a structure stand. So do with social studies. We have to have a proper understanding of what is social studies. That is why we have to understand the foundation of social studies. By understanding the foundation of social studies, we now have a proper and clear view on the nature and characteristic of social studies. Now take note, foundation of social studies is not similar or the same to other social sciences or other social studies subjects that you have learned, because this subject is intended for you who are in the future to become teachers and who will be teaching social studies in elementary or in high school. That is why it is important for you to have a proper understanding of what social studies is all about. Okay, so this subject is foundation because from here you will understand the nature and the purpose of social studies. Without understanding social studies from this point, then it would be difficult for you later to teach social studies to your students. So in our definition of social studies, it is the study of people in relation to each other. So in social studies, the focus of the study is or are people in relation to each other. So our focus of study are people living in a community in relation to other people. And of course, how these people relate to their world. No? So that's how interesting social studies is, because it talks about us. It talks about the people living in this world and how we relate to each other and how we relate to the world. That is why it is focused on the issues that may arise in these relationships. Why are there misunderstandings? What are the causes of problems that occur in our society? So this can be understood by an individual who is specializing in social studies. And that is why this is inquiry-based. So what do we mean by inquiry-based? Inquiry is pagpangutana. We constantly ask questions. We do not simply receive data or information, but rather we ask questions in order to clarify things. That is why if you are really serious of becoming a social scientist or a teacher in social studies, then dapat na animo ang karakter of being observant, no? Dapat himantadyon ka. Kamao ka mo bantay ug mo obserbar sa mga panghitabo sa imong palibot, sa inyong katilingban, because this will be your basis in understanding and in analyzing the situation that is happening in your community. And of course, this is also interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary, meaning to say this synthesizes different fields of specialization like history, geography, ecology, economics, law, philosophy, political science, and other social science discipline. That is why, to my previous students, I would say that the most intelligent student in the campus must be those students who are into social science. Why? Because as a social science student, you should develop the skill of synthesizing. What do you mean by synthesizing? You synthesize, meaning to say you connect the relationship of one phenomenon to another phenomenon. Dapat kamao ka musumpay-sumpay, mutagpi-tagpi, o sa usapa ka duwa, lihiro ka sa duwa nga puzzle in which you can connect one piece to another piece in order for you to create a picture. Okay? So, mao na si nga miyon ko sa mga estudyante sa una nga, well, English students may be good in English because that is their area of specialization. Mathematics students may be good in mathematics. No? Filipino students may be good in Filipino. But the social science student must possess the skill in English or Filipino, in mathematics, the skill in science and other discipline, because as a social science student, you should be able to synthesize and connect all the phenomena that's happening in our society so that you can make an analysis and a conclusion or generalization. You need, no, as a social science student, you need to be good in English because you have to express your understanding through either English or Filipino. No, dapat tabian hingistoryahon ang usa ka social science students tungod kay mao man ni ang imong trabaho. You should be able to express what you have understood in your studies, no, connecting one phenomenon or one event to another event. So, sa inyong barangay, sa inyong komunidad, dapat nag-practice na ka sa pag-observe sa mga panghitabo sa inyong katilingban. What is the present situation, for example, as we confront COVID-19? Unsa man ang behavior sa mga tao, unsa may relationship sa mga tao, sa isig ka tao, o in relation to the authority, the local authority, for example, sa barangay officials, sa mga tanod, unsa man ang relasyon sa barangay officials ngadto sa laing barangay officials. So these are the things that should be observed by a social science students, because we are tasked to observe and give our interpretations based on our knowledge in mathematics, based on our knowledge in science, in economics, in history, and other fields of discipline. So that's the challenge of being a social science. Atong usbo ng panghuna-huna o kontensyon nga, ay, hinadyon man ko og utok, mag-social science na lamang ko. So social science is only an option, no, usa ka pilianan. No, as a social science student, it is the most difficult field of specialization because it is your task to synthesize, connecting the dots. You are to create a picture out of the different data and information that you have collected and observed in your community and make a generalization or make a conclusion. So that's how we define social studies. It is a study on the relationship of people with other people and in their world where they live in. So are you ready to accept the task. So when you teach social studies, this is not simply reading and giving your students bundle or volume of information. That is not the intention of social studies. But by giving your students the information and data, they will be able to use this data so that they will be able to understand deeper the situation and condition that's happening in their community or in their society. The next important point regarding social studies is the aim and purpose of social studies. So what is the purpose of social studies? When you teach in the future and you are assigned to teach social studies or other social science subjects, what is the purpose for that? So it must be clear in your mind whenever you prepare the lesson plan and whenever you enter the classroom. You have a clear purpose in your mind what are or what is the expected outcome of the lesson that you are to teach to your students or to your pupils. Now, accordingly, social studies aim the student to gain enough knowledge and competency to actively participate in the nation and the world. Enough knowledge and competency. Knowledge also can be understood as understanding. Doon na tayo saktong pagsabot sa nanghitabo sa atong katilingban. Doon na tayo saktong panglantaw sa sitwasyon sa atong nasod, sa atong komunidad. That is enough knowledge. And not only that, but more of competency. So when we speak of competency, it now refers to skill or application of knowledge. So you see the importance and the difference of social studies. Social studies is not meant only to be memorized. In elementary or in high school, we are made to memorize dates, names of people, names of places, and that is all. But no, that is not the intention and that is not the aim of social studies. The aim of social studies is for us to have a deeper understanding and knowledge about the situation in the country, in the province, of the world, and after gaining understanding, there has to be developed competency. Meaning to say, what we have learned must be applied. Okay? So, we should be able, or your student should be able to do something out from what they have learned from your lesson. There must be an action that will follow. There must be an application that will show and demonstrate what they have learned. Okay? So, knowledge and competency. For what? To actively participate in the nation and in the world. Meaning to say, the actions that are expected of your pupils or your students, for that matter, are those that can help in the nation building. That your students will become good citizens of the world, good citizens of the country, good citizens of the community. So this is the challenge of social studies. It aims to change the heart of your pupil and the students so that they will start to love and be loyal to their country. Useless sa usa ka bata nga isang na-memorize ang tanang mga important events nga nahitabo sa atong nasod, but they fail to execute and show actions and behavior that will make them good citizens of the country. Okay? So this is the pure original aim of social studies. That when you enter the classroom and you recite a lesson to your pupils or to your students, make sure that there must be a change of behavior, a change of attitude among your students so that they will become good members of the society, of the community. Now, in lesson number 2, we are talking about the historical background of social studies. How did social study start? Now, in lesson 2, you were given a reading, an article for you to read, and it contains the history of social studies, where it started in the United States of America. Now, we have to understand that based on the history of American society or the American civilization, America in the olden times was marred with civil war, meaning to say people in America were fighting and killing each other. And it was until 1700s when these civil wars ended. Now, when the United States of America started to establish itself, it has become the challenge of the National Education Association and the National Council of Social Studies to establish or identify a subject that will be included in the curriculum in elementary and high school, wherein this subject will teach nationalism, patriotism, citizenship, and love of country. Why? Because after the Civil War, people come to the America from different countries, from different backgrounds and culture. And what they have in mind is that America is a place of opportunity. What they think is only of themselves. How can they enrich themselves from the resources that are available in America? And so these two organizations were thinking about what could be the solution of this selfish attitude of the people. There has to be a subject in which children will be taught how to be loyal and to be patriotic to the country. And so we have social studies. Okay? So the intention of social studies is for these people coming from different countries, of different cultural backgrounds, of different identity, to come together and learn to love the American land as one nation, as one country. And so, we Filipinos, as the Philippines, as one of the colonies of the US before, when they brought education to our country, they also included social studies. So in here, in our context, when we teach social studies to our pupils or to our students, the main intention of this is to mold and to train our students for them to learn to love the motherland. That's how important social studies is in the curriculum, because the teacher who is teaching social studies must be able to inculcate in the mind of the students and also develop love in the hearts of the students, love of country, being responsible citizen, one who is able to help finding the solutions to the problems that besets the community rather than being the problem themselves. No? So the students in social studies must be able to find solution, or even in your class, discuss these problems, identify what are the causes and what could be the solution to this problem. So you see, that is the nature and characteristic of social studies based on its origin, based on its historical background. Okay? So at this point, I hope that it is already clear in your mind what you are into. Unsa ning inyong gisudlan being social science students or social studies major students. nga sa inyong pagtudlo sa subject ng social studies, it is the aim of the subject that you will be able to change the behavior of your pupils, of your students, and make them good and responsible and productive citizens of the country. So I hope that this short lecture will be able to help you understand the 2 lessons that were uploaded in our Google Classroom. If in case you have questions, you do not hesitate to chat me in the chat room in our GC, or you can also send your questions directly to my Facebook accounts. Thank you and good afternoon.